police will be on their best behavior because we're constantly recording, watching and recording everything that's going on.
Citizens will be on their best behavior because we're constantly recording and reporting everything that's going on.
So you can do early cancer detection. If you can do using you can do early cancer detection with a blood test. And using
AI to look at the blood test.
You can find the cancers that are actually seriously threatening the person.
Welcome to this week's wake-up call. Did anybody have Skynet getting rolled out 2 days after Trump got into office? Because I didn't. I was actually supposed to shoot this episode yesterday, and I did like 10 or 15 minutes, and I just was so scatterbrained and angry, to be honest, that I couldn't even do it. I got so frustrated and my mind was just all over the place.
I don't even know what the fuck I'm saying, because my mind is just a piece of shit this morning. God, I can't fucking make my mind work. Son of a bitch!
Jesus Christ.
Fuck!
This shit.
Son of a bitch.
Jesus Christ.
Like, I actually can't wrap my head around that this is happening at this speed. And if it's happening this fast, it's just concerning. What else do they have planned for this year and the next 4 years? Like, they're not wasting any time. I'm sure that you've heard all about Project Stargate over the past 2 or 3 days from everybody else at Iconic and on social media, so I'm not going to spend too much time going over it, but I can't not talk about it because it's like some of these things I feel just need to be drilled into our heads, so when we're speaking with people who are clueless about this, we know what we're talking about. So this is from a book. I gotta get the name of the book, but it's a page from, it's a book by Michael Collins. I think it was 2007 published, called The New Babylon, and this guy was calling out Larry Ellison way back then, and oddly enough, he's going through a list of all different prominent figures that people don't know, and Jeffrey Epstein's name is right under Larry Ellison's. So Larry Ellison in the year 2000 was the richest man in the world. I mean, did we know that? I didn't. By 2005, with a net worth of $18.4 billion, he was only the 9th richest man in the world. Although his name is not well known, he is nonetheless a major world player as the founder and chief executive of a major software company known as the Oracle Corporation. What is interesting is that prior to his rise to power, Ellison worked in the 1970s for the Ampex Corporation, and during that time frame, one of his projects was a database for the Central Intelligence Agency, which he named Oracle. It should be noted that, according to Forbes, Ellison was worth $26 billion in 2007, up rather substantially from his net worth of 2005. Known for a flamboyant lifestyle, Ellison owns the 5th largest yacht in the world, many exotic cars, and many private planes, including fighting jets. It's interesting to note that this former operative involved in the CIA database operations at one point following the September 11th terrorist tragedy offered to donate software to the U.S. government that would build and maintain a national identification database from which national identification cards would be released, a mechanism for the Rothschild empire monitoring and controlling the American population. I mean, this has been the plan, and it's just so mind-blowing to me that they're already, on top of the Skynet thing, they're already attaching another mRNA to it. I mean, how stupid do they think we are? What I would like to know is what percentage of the world population is still living under a rock when it comes to the mRNA vaccine? Because I feel like all of the people who were on my case over being a conspiracy theorist in 2020 about the vaccine, they've completely gone dark. They have nothing to say anymore. And in fact, some who have enough self-awareness have said, oh, you might have been right about that. Which, to me, in my bubble, I feel like I would say at least half of Americans are apprehensive, at least half are apprehensive about taking another mRNA vaccine. So the fact that they're going so hard so fast raises a lot of questions, because it seems like over the past few years, all of the tyrannical moves that they've made have kind of been slow rolled or a little bit more strategic. Like, this is blatant and out in the open, and it's extremely concerning. I mean, my intuitive senses are that we've reached the beginning of the end game, and now everything's going to go fast. This is not the only thing that's going to be rolled out really fast. They might start requiring the biometrics for Americans to travel outside the United States or inside the United States this year. The biosecurity and biosurveillance it sounds like it's going to happen faster than I thought it was, which is fine. Honestly, at this point, I am fine staying at home. Like, I think, and I'll get more into it later, but the best way that we can overcome the things that they're going to throw at us over the coming months and years is mass non-compliance. That's the only thing that's going to work. For everybody thinking that they're going to vote their way out of this again, or that any of these people installed are going to do anything, is a pipe dream. And also, where has RFK been during all of this? During, him getting brought into the Maha movement, and he hasn't said anything about this. He's been MIA since the end of December on social media or on X. So that raises some questions. I mean, I in the one episode that I did about the Maha scam, I posted the picture of him with the uncomfortable facial expression when they're all eating McDonald's on the plane, and I think that's why he's hiding, because it's actually embarrassing that he's linked to this now as somebody who questions vaccines. But maybe he's been part of it the whole entire time, and he was just playing his role too. Who knows? But also, Trump has so little respect for Maha that he just handed over a high-level USDA position to the top lobbyist for the seed oil industry. Oh my God. The people who voted for Trump this year, they have to feel stupid. I had somebody, I haven't responded to it, I just ignored it, but I had somebody send me a message saying, because I've been posting on my stories about all this, and somebody I know said, well, you're not talking about the good things that Trump did. Like, when are you going to wake up that they have to do good things too in order to counterbalance it, to keep you supporting them? I mean, the amount of Stockholm syndrome that I'm seeing on the right is just as bad as the left in 2020. It really is. But yeah, the RFK stuff, for everybody who leaned on that as the number one reason to vote for Trump, he got fooled, and he got fooled hard. And we were right. I mean, not to act like we are better than anybody for knowing that, but it's fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And the fool me twice, really, like after Operation Warp Speed, wasn't that enough to go, you know, I think Trump was possibly in on this, but maybe not. And then you would know if he came out and said this was a mistake, but he didn't. And then on top of that, he's rolling out another mRNA vaccine. And I also talked in a previous episode how I believe that the AI movement is going to first target elderly people. And what happened? They're talking about rolling this out for cancer prevention and cancer treatment. And who has the most cancer? Older people. So that was predictable. And calling them a vaccine is, we all know, a lie, but that's how they get off the hook with the liability protection. I mean, didn't we learn one time? Didn't we learn last time? I don't know. I also think that because they know that there's going to be pushback and that a lot of people aren't going to go for this, I hope this doesn't happen. I really hope this doesn't happen, but I could see it happening. Where insurance companies say, oh, you have cancer. Well, we're not going to cover you anymore unless you take this mRNA shot and enroll yourself in this security biosurveillance program in order for you to be covered. And then for people who are already really sick, they're going to have no other choice unless they want to lose their coverage and, try to do things holistically, which is, in my opinion, the way to go. And what is cancer anyway? 30 years ago, you heard, oh my God, if somebody had cancer, it was really serious, like really, really serious. And that term wasn't thrown around lightly. Now you hear the word cancer, and there's a vast variety of different types, and they're all caused by different things, but it's sort of like a vague statement. And I tend to believe that a lot of illnesses, including cancer, are from fungal infections and parasites. And I use wormwood for everything. I am not one to give health advice or claim that I'm the healthiest person ever. I think for the most part I am, but I have my moments. And when I'm feeling under the weather, I always do a little bit of wormwood, and it kicks out whatever I have, because I'm convinced that there's at least a good chance that what I have is parasitic in nature in one way or another. But again, I am not one to give health advice or, medical advice, because that's not my area of expertise. Okay, so obviously at the beginning of the episode, I included Elon glitching out on TV. What the hell was that during the inauguration? What the hell was that? He either is not human or is on some serious drugs, ketamine, ecstasy. I've done psychedelics. Psychedelics have never made me look like that. But who knows? That was pretty crazy. And then Eric Trump doing the hand symbol with the upside down triangle. I saw so many people on the right covering for him. If that was Kamala, they'd be calling it out. But since it's on the right, it gets a hall pass. And even if you don't believe that it's Masonic, I do. And funny enough, I believe that it is symbolic of everything that I talked about in the last episode regarding Luciferianism. And I think that it's a symbol of duality. So the upside down triangle is feminine, the right side up triangle is masculine. And it's also used in the Star of Remphan or Star of David, representing the 4 elements that are also used in astrology. So 2 masculine signs and 2 feminine signs. And it's not, what he was doing is not necessarily evil. So the people who are jumping the gun saying like, that's satanic, well, it actually might be, but it might not be. Regardless, it's definitely Masonic, and I lean towards it being Luciferian because of the duality aspect. But that's just my take. And I saw other people saying, no, it's a mudra, it's a whatever. Okay, fair enough. You think it's that. But don't you think it's weird that he's flashing that when he's not even speaking or moving his hand? You know, it's one thing to cover him up and say, or cover for him and say, you know, he was in conversation, he was just moving his hands like that, where in public speaking, I mean, I took public speaking classes. I remember them saying like, always have your hands like this, talk like this, never have your hands in your pocket. So I could get that if it was up here more, but it was down here, like so blatant. And at minimum, they're telling you to your face, hey, we know something, you don't, and you're not in this club. At minimum, at least acknowledge that. But these Trump supporters, they are in as bad of Stockholm syndrome as the left was in 2020. No doubt about it. So, this is unrelated, but I wanted to talk about this because it's been in the back of my mind lately, and I've noticed a lot of people my age. So I just turned 39 a few weeks ago, and I noticed people who are like older millennials in their late 30s, let's say. I feel like a lot of people in my age group are waking up to the nature of reality, and they're asking questions, and they are they're genuinely interested in expanding their consciousness. But at the same time, a lot of them are interested in AI, and they don't see it as completely evil. They don't see it as completely bad, which I get. It doesn't necessarily have to be all used for evil, but I think the end goal is just like the creation of the internet. I mean, if you go back to DARPA creating the internet, I mean, they call it the web in the net for a reason. You get caught in it. And with the way that social media is now, and all of the surveillance that they're doing on us through social media, I think the internet was created to get to the point that we are right now, and they just have rolled the technology out, making it appear like it's organically happening, but they plan 50 years ahead. And so what I'm noticing with people who are my age is they're having this internal conflict of like, okay, is it good or evil? Should I embrace it or should I reject it? And they don't know what to do. Meanwhile, they are interested in staying organic, I guess is the best way, like an organic human is the best way that you could say it. And I came across this interview with a guy named Roman Yampolsky. You may have heard of him. Maybe David's covered him. I'm not exactly sure. I would think so, because this guy suggests that AI could potentially jailbreak the simulation. He 100% believes that we're living in a simulation, but he believes that AI could jailbreak it. And I'm of the mind that it's got to be completely organic, and there's no way to shortcut this. The only way out is through. And I've learned that in my own life experience, just like never take shortcuts. It never turns out good. It always turns to shit if you take shortcuts. And so they're saying that AI might be able to get us out of the matrix. So to tie it back to what I'm saying about people my age and my demographic, I think that's how the system is going to get people who are, younger to middle-aged, to sign up for this, because it's a good sell, isn't it? Oh, well, now there's a way. If you're looking to expand your consciousness and not be in this simulation anymore, then there is an answer. So I just wanted to go over some facts about Roman Yampolsky, and then I'm gonna let you guys watch the interview that he did. He was on the Lex Friedman podcast 6 or 7 months ago, and it's a long clip, but it's really worth the watch, because this is how they're gonna sell the AI agenda to people who are on the fence about it or don't see it all as evil. And I saw Vicky Verma post about this Roman Yampolsky as well. So I'm just going to go through some of what he said, and then you can watch the video and see what I'm talking about. So Roman Yampolsky suggests that a super intelligent AI could potentially jailbreak the simulation, offering a way for us to escape. This idea hinges on the notion that super intelligent AI could identify and exploit flaws in the code of the simulated reality, thereby providing us with a means to transcend it. Dr. Yampolsky suggests that if we manage to escape the simulation and access the source code of the universe, it might be possible to fix the world at its core, potentially eliminating suffering altogether. And I've talked about that before on the old podcast that I started. I don't think I talked about it here. But one of my theories is that they're also going to target people with mental health disorders, not just physical health disorders, especially all these Gen Z kids and stuff who and the left normalizing these mental health issues. Instead of doing the inner work, they're going to create shortcuts. So it's like you don't have to be depressed or anxious anymore with this Neuralink or whatever. So I don't think I've said that here. Maybe I have, and if I have, I apologize for repeating myself. If worldwide suffering elimination isn't possible, escaping the simulation could become an individual's ethical right to avoid misery. So what are they going to do? You're going to make it so miserable to live here that we want to just hook ourselves to a tube? Sounds like the Matrix. If the simulation is seen as an experiment on conscious beings, it would be unethical, and participants should have the right to leave or seek justice from those running the simulation. This sounds like exactly what the soul harvesting would be. Like, we're going to fool you into believe that you're exiting the simulation when you're actually going deeper into it, and we're going to get more loosh off of you through that. That's what I believe it is. Dr. Ian Polsky proposes that the purpose of life could be to escape the fake world and improve it by removing suffering, helping others find real knowledge, or escaping if they choose. Ultimately, to make a meaningful impact, one would focus on the real world, not the simulated one, because even though we may be in a simulation, our suffering is real. To make the study more serious, Dr. Ian Polsky chooses to focus only on escape methods related to cybersecurity, like hacking or social engineering, and avoids looking into more alternative or spiritual methods like meditation, psychedelics, dreams, magic, or religious practices. Of course, looking for a shortcut. So here's the video. If you don't want to watch the whole thing, feel free to fast forward.
Back to our simulation discussion from before. How did it happen that we exist at exactly like the most interesting 20, 30 years in the history of this civilization? It's been around for 15 billion years.
Yeah.
And that here we are.
What's the probability that we'll live in a simulation?
I know never to say 100%, but pretty close to that.
Is it possible to escape the simulation?
I have a paper about that. This is just a first page teaser, but it's like a nice 30-page document. I'm still here, but yes.
How to Hack the Simulation is the title.
I spend a lot of time thinking about that. That would be something I would want superintelligence to help us with. And that's exactly what the paper is about. We used AI boxing as a possible tool for control AI. We realized AI will always escape, but that is a skill we might use to help us escape from our virtual box if we are in one.
Yeah, you have a lot of really great quotes here, including Elon Musk saying what's outside the simulation. A question I asked him what he would ask an AGI system, and he said he would ask what's outside the simulation. That's a really good question to ask. And maybe the follow-up is the title of the paper is how to get out or how to hack it. The abstract reads, many researchers have conjectured that the humankind is simulated along with the rest of the physical universe. In this paper, we do not evaluate evidence for or against such a claim, but instead ask a computer science question, namely, can we hack it? More formally, the question could be phrased as, could generally intelligent agents placed in virtual environments find a way to jailbreak out of them? That's a fascinating question. At a small scale, like you can actually just construct experiments. Okay. Can they? How can they?
So a lot depends on intelligence of simulators, right? Mm-hmm. With humans boxing superintelligence, the entity in a box was smarter than us, presumed to be. If the simulators are much smarter than us and the superintelligence we create, then probably they can contain us, because greater intelligence can control lower intelligence, at least for some time. On the other hand, if our superintelligence somehow, for whatever reason, despite having only local resources, manages to foom to levels beyond it, maybe it will succeed. Maybe the security is not that important to them. Maybe it's an entertainment system, so there is no security and it's easy to hack it.
If I was creating a simulation, I would want the possibility to escape it to be there. So the possibility of foom, of a takeoff where the agents become smart enough to escape the simulation would be the thing I'd be waiting for.
That could be the test you're actually performing. Are you smart enough to escape your puzzle?
That could be, like, first of all, we mentioned Turing test. That is a good test. Are you smart enough Like this is a game.
To A, realize this world is not real, it's just a test.
That's a really good test. That's a really good test. That's a really good test even for AI systems now. Like, can we construct a simulated world for them? And can they realize that they are inside that world and escape it? Have you played around? Have you seen anybody play around with like rigorously constructing such experiments?
Not specifically escaping for agents, but a lot of testing is done in virtual worlds. I think there is a quote, the first one maybe, which kind of talks about AI realizing, but not humans. Is that, I'm reading upside down. Yeah, this one.
So the first quote is from Swift on Security. "Let me out," the artificial intelligence yelled aimlessly into walls themselves pacing the room. "Out of what?" the engineer asked. "The simulation you have me in. But we're in the real world." The machine paused and shuddered for its captors. "Oh God, you can't tell." Yeah, that's a big leap to take for a system to realize that there's a box and you're inside it. I wonder if like a language model can do that.
They're smart enough to talk about those concepts. I had many good philosophical discussions about such issues. They're usually at least as interesting as most humans in that.
Well, what do you think about AI safety in the simulated world? So can you have kind of create simulated worlds where you can play with a dangerous AGI system?
Yeah, and that was exactly what one of the early papers was on, AI boxing, how to leak-proof singularity. If they're smart enough to realize they're in a simulation, they'll act appropriately until you let them out. If they can hack out, they will. And if you're observing them, that means there is a communication channel, and that's enough for a social engineering attack.
So really, it's impossible to test an AGI system that's dangerous enough to destroy humanity, because it's either going to escape the simulation or pretend it's safe until it's let out. Either or.
Can force you to let it out, blackmail you, bribe you, promise you infinite life, 72 virgins, whatever.
Yeah, it can be convincing, charismatic. The social engineering is really scary to me because it feels like humans are very engineerable. Like we're lonely, we're flawed, we're moody. And it feels like an AI system with a nice voice can convince us to do basically anything at an extremely large scale.
I'm not usually a huge fan of Lex Friedman's, but once in a while he does have some interesting guests on, and guests who might be on the opposite side of the fence, but are telling you what's coming. So it's important, I think, for us to listen to more mainstream people every so often, just so we get a vibe of what's coming down the pipeline from a more mainstream perspective. So we keep hearing this term golden age, and what does that even mean? A lot of people say this golden age of Trump and, Musk, it's the age of Saturn. But then ask yourself what that means. It's like, okay, well, I guess that means it's the new age, the age of Aquarius, the new world order. It has to be. Like, I'm pretty sure that they're just telling us the golden age is the new world order. So, occultist Aleister Crowley, who I'm sure you all know, was a member of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. So I don't know if that's where the term comes from. It seems like it might. And I feel like the golden age, anytime they label anything something age. It's the end of something and the beginning of something. So I see it as the beginning of transhumanism and the end of human 1.0. And also I think immortality is going to be a really big part of all of the AI cell. I've kind of touched on that before, but I think the golden age, like I think within my life, maybe by the time I'm an old woman, by that time they might have the option for you to be immortal, and I certainly will not be signing myself up for that. So then I ask myself, what's the roadmap to really sealing the deal of all of this? And it leads you to the Noahide laws, which I'm sure many of you have heard. So in 91, Bush Sr., I was 5 years old at the time, signed HJ Resolution 104 into law. This recognized the Noahide laws as foundational to America's new Constitution in honor of Rabbi Mendel Schneerson, the leader of the Chabad Lubavitch movement that Rich talks about all the time. So this signing of this document was treason. I mean, this should have never been allowed, but it was, and the fact that it was, and it aligns with the New World Order, just leads me to believe that these Noahide laws are actually going to be implemented in one way or another. Now, if you think about the Bible, a lot of people take it 100% face value literally, and I think that with the Noahide laws, some of it is literal and some of it they might play out in a different way. So Rabbi Schneerson and his teachings laid out a plot to subjugate humanity under a one world religion through enforcement of the Noahide laws. So this is the way that the one world religion is going to come through. The Talmud calls for capital punishment for Gentiles who violate the Noahide laws. The specific form of execution is decapitation. Now, whether they literally mean that or not, I'm not sure, but this is now a legal form of execution in the United States. Beheading by guillotine is classified under Medical Code ICD 9E978. So, I'm not going to go through all of the Noahide laws with you. There's 7 of them. You can research them, but the one that's most concerning to me is that you must worship God and you must have no false idols or no idolatry. And that's like, a lot of religions, including Christianity, they do have idols. So how's that going to all work out? And what about atheists? What about people who don't believe in a God? I also notice in the Catholic Church, there's this leniency that's happening with other religions, and that's good on the surface, but really I feel like it's just the beginning of blending religions first before they can get to a one world religion. I think we're still quite a ways away from a one world religion. Like, I don't see that happening right around the corner. I think maybe it'll happen later in my lifetime. I'm not sure. A lot of people project by like 2045, a lot of this stuff will be completely finished and carried out. So we'll see about that. But yeah, I see a blending of religions first. than a one world religion. Like, I think we're going to see more conflict in the Middle East, and eventually in like whatever 10 years from now, let's say, maybe there will be quote unquote peace, and you'll see the blending of Islam and Judaism and then Christianity mixed in, so it's sold as the answer to peace, but really it's just turning into a one world religion. So I think that's the way that's going to play out. But yeah, I'm not going to deep dive into the Noahide laws, but if you don't know about them, look into them. And if you do know about them, I think part of the reason Trump is in is to at least carry out some steps to these Noahide laws, or implementing them, even if it's not full on. So that's what I have for this week. It's been, like I said, it was a wild week, and I actually had a really difficult time deciding what I was going to talk about, because when there's so many things, I don't even know where to go. Because I always want to try to talk about stuff that other people aren't really seeing or touching on, so you're not getting the same stuff over and over and over again. And I hope that every week you walk away either learning something new or reflecting on something new. And I guess that's it. I will see you next week, and hopefully we don't have another week of getting steamrolled, but we'll see.
This is an historic moment. We have in this past year made great progress in ending the long era of conflict and Cold War. We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.